all the listeners. Welcome to the program, The All Rounder. I'm your host, Ismail Gulfraz Abasi, and once again, we have Hashir ibn Irshad Saab with us, sir. It's an honor having you again on our show.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure is all mine.
Uh, Washed away Pakistan's flood crisis. Hashir Saab, I would like to start on a casual note. I
Sure.
assume you were brought up in Lahore.
Yes.
What was Ravi back then? What's your
Pretty much
connection?
the same actually. Ravi in 80s and 90s, the water levels have actually gone down by then because the Indus Water Treaty was in place, and we have under the agreement where Ravi's waters, the first right was of course India's and not ours. So Ravi was going down, but it wasn't as bad as it is today. It is yeah, as of today, it is more of a sewerage dump. Not as of today, uh, but before the recent floods. It is a sewerage dump. It is a place for industrial waste. It You can hardly call it a river, and it's a more of a dying water reservoir that we could look into with a lot of pain and anguish, to be honest. Because you understand when Lahore, all the cities in the world, or most of the cities in the world are on river banks, and Lahore was supposed to be on the river bank of Ravi. But then you had a Buddha Ravi before when the Ravi has changed directions, and then Ravi was away from Lahore, and today we consider Ravi to be pretty much outside of Lahore actually, not and the new Lahore is far from Ravi. So we had picnics in Kamran's Baradari. I remember that. That was I think 80s. In 90s actually I moved out to Islamabad, first to Karachi and then to Islamabad. But Ravi was a place where Lahoris used to go still in the 80s, in the 90s maybe still. But then afterwards, I don't think that it was a place where you can take your kids, where you can take your family, where you can have a nice evening. You wait for the floods, and then you can maybe see some water there, which is not as polluted and as dirty as it is in the rest of the year. But we have killed our rivers pretty much. Not just the Indus Water Treaty, but we have killed our rivers. We could still savor our waters and we could do a lot with our waters. But it is not just the Indus Water Treaty that has caused this. We ourselves were responsible for whatever we have done with our waterways, with our rivers, with our canals, whatever is left today. And it is going from bad to worst, of course.
Fine. So, Hashir Saab, when we talk of Ravi in particular, back then in 80s when you used to go there with your family, or there was picnic, uh, or people would go there for picnic, were there any sort of construction projects
No,
back then
no,
as well?
no, 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 no. There were certain housing societies, old housing societies.
Okay.
Well, you can't call them housing society. These are the housing projects that have sprung out of nowhere. There
Okay.
was no planning actually. From Shadra onwards, there were places people have their houses. Most of those are away from Ravi. But then, as the Ravi has died down, people have started encroaching Ravi. Actually, one of my uncle was actually sold a lot of land, which we later discovered is part
Ravi.
of Ravi waterway.
Okay.
Those are the kind of frauds that were very prevalent those days. So, but then people have actually started encroaching the actual waterway where Ravi had to flow, and they have constructed houses. They have started sowing crops there, and that's not just along the banks of the river Ravi. That's throughout Punjab. Actually, I was talking to one of my friends in who's from southern Punjab, and he was telling me the tale of how people have actually started sowing crops where the river has to have the way.
Okay.
And so because in the medium floods or in normal days, you can have you can actually have that land to yourself and do whatever you want to do with it. And then when these kind of floods, the mega floods, the big floods come your way, you lose everything actually. So a lot of people who have lost their life savings are the one who are where they shouldn't be, and nobody was actually watching out what is happening to it's just not the rivers actually. We live in Islamabad and Pindi, and Nala Lai is, you have seen the encroachment on Nala Lai,
Exactly.
which is not even a river, which is not even clean water. People have constructed houses inside where Nala Lai was supposed to be, and Nala Lai has shrunk down to, we have seen the same thing happening in Sawat. We have seen mushroom growth of hotels
Exactly.
inside the riverbed, literally. And then we have seen what has happened actually. The river has reclaimed.
Exactly. Hashir Sahib, if we trace the timeline of this current crisis that we are in right now, it all starts in mid of August, 14th August, when people were celebrating Independence Day. We saw flash floods, we saw a cloudburst in KP. You just mentioned KP, so I just went there. We are witnessing a flood in Punjab, and there is a lot of talk about it. But even if we talk about the deaths or the casualties that have taken place, KP has suffered more than Punjab, even despite this massive reek that has happened in Punjab. What happened in KP? Why? Because that is not a place where you expect such catastrophes to take place.
Listen, I'm not a disclaimer to start with. I'm not a disaster management expert or a water resource expert. I only study these things out of my purely my interest for many years actually. Before coming here, actually, I wrote down a post in which I gave that disclaimer, and I say that I listen to a lot of people. I sit with a lot of my friends who have spent their lives in flood relief, in disaster management. They are water resource experts. I listen to international experts as well. This is an area of interest to
Interest
me.
to you. Yeah.
At the same time, I listen to people who claim to be water resource expert in Pakistan, and then I figure out they are not actually. But they are part of a lobby, and they have somehow established themselves as the champions of water resources. Most of them are the champions of the mega dams actually right now.
Sure.
So that is one thing. That's this
Yeah.
is
Yeah, we'll
disclaimer.
talk
That's
about
this
that.
is disclaimer
Yes.
to start with.
Yes.
So my opinion is not a fatwa really. It is something which is more of an observation. It is more of a study. I don't think this crisis has started on 14th of August this year. This crisis has started many years ago.
That's
This
true.
has been in motion for so many years now.
That's
And it
true.
is just not the crisis in Pakistan, it's more of a global crisis
True.
where we have actually done something to this planet that only humans could.
Okay.
So, starting from the greenhouse gases effect and moving on to the climate change and moving on to the Earth's atmosphere changing and the rising temperatures, actually, we have seen the ice belt melting.
Yeah.
We have seen the glaciers melting over a period of time. We have seen it is a global phenomena where glaciers are either shrinking or melting or going away. Starting from Canadian Alps to Himalayas, we have seen this phenomena.
Okay.
Why places like Pakistan suffer more? Because we probably don't contribute that much to the planet going down the drain. Because we don't have the infrastructure, we don't have the industry, we are not putting out so much CFC in the air. Actually, we don't have the resources for that. Industrial nations like US or China are doing more damage to their to the environment in general. But we suffer more. Why? Because we are not proactive.
है जुर्म ज़ईफ़ी की सज़ा में.
Not yes, of course, that is more of a universal truth. But we are not proactive. We don't understand what's going to happen to us, and we don't have an early warning system to start with. And worst, we don't have any mitigating factor or any mitigating ideas in place. For example, deforestation is probably the highest in Pakistan compared to all the neighboring countries. In terms of per capita, we have the lowest number of trees in the world, and that has been since I was a child. and it is going down. In the recent floods, what is that you've seen in the Nuseri Dam, in the Kahan Dam, in where in various places where water has actually accumulated, you have seen the most that you have seen, the most prominent thing that you have seen are the cut down trees. The tree
Yeah.
logs are there. So it means there's a lot of deforestation, there's a lot of tree cutting that is going on,
True.
and that is not something which can happen without either the forest department knowing about it, or the authorities knowing about it, or whoever is the MNA or the MPA from those constituencies, they're knowing about it, or they are probably complicit in the whole affair. So that is something which is going on. This is something which can stop a lot of water coming down. We know that there are glacial lakes, and there are a lot of glacial lakes, and we have seen those lake burst, and that is not a phenomenon that has happened this very year. That has happened before. Have we had any early warning systems in place? No. Have we decided what? Have we actually conducted a study from where the water has to come down? Which places the water is going to take? We have seen most recently, and that is something which has happened before these floods, is the incident in the Atabad Lake, because the most prominent structure, the most well-known structure, is right where there is the water has to come
Come.
from upside the glacier, and actually it goes down the Atabad Lake and is right in the middle of it.
True.
So we have seen that the water has cut down both sides of it. People were stranded for 2 days, and then they have cleared the way and say we are open again. You know, first of all, who has given the permission? Who is the one who has conducted that topology study? I'm not the one who is an expert in that. I was happy looking at maybe a structure at Tabad Lake, and I might go there and I might stay there even, because I don't understand what is going to happen in case of a
Impact.
catastrophe,
True.
in case something wrong goes. The Murphy's laws is something has to go wrong, it will go wrong. So we don't understand, because these are very unstable terrains, the north of Pakistan, and starting from KP and going into the Gilgit and Baltistan. These are very, very unstable terrains. That is one thing. The other is they are right at the conflux of some tectonic plates, or so there's this possibility of earthquakes, and even small earthquakes can do a lot of damage. On hilly slopes, you need to have a lot of, naturally speaking, you need to have a lot of trees
Trees.
to stop, or you need to have check dams. You need to find out the seasonal nullas from where the rainwater has come down. And this cloudburst is something, once again there's this misnomer, misunderstanding about what cloudburst is. It is not that a cloud actually bursts. It is actually a more than average rain in a
Pouring
given
rain.
point in time.
Yes.
In a given point in time, if that happens, what's going? Because we have seen some of the nullas bursting out of their banks even when there is no rain. Actually, this is the rain maybe that happened 2 days ago, 3 days ago. Then there are people who have actually once again encroached that particular waterways, and that is very, very common in KP. In Punjab, there's a difference. Punjab, there are no hilly terrains in Punjab, so water is not coming out of from a height. That is something which is very common in KP,
Okay.
or which is very common in Gilgit-Baltistan. So there is the multiplier effect. The water comes down, it washes down everything that is in its path. We have seen, I have seen the rocks which are maybe 1,000 tons or more moved by water. You cannot move it with the machinery that you have at your disposal in the 21st century. So that's the kind of power
Power
that
nature
that
possesses.
nature has, and that this happens. This is not, this is not the first time that this has happened. So what is that you have done when we had floods in 2022? What is that we have when we have floods in
Yeah, yeah. This was a
1988? What is that
question.
we have floods in 1990s?
I'll just chip in with a
You
question and
know,
you can carry on.
it is like a broken record. It keeps on happening every
Exactly.
few years. We either have drought or we have floods. There's nothing in between.
So, I mean, the official stance is that Punjab is witnessing the worst flood of
Since
its
88, I think.
history. That's
Yeah.
what they said. That
Yeah.
is the history they
Yeah,
said.
yeah.
But that's what I was asking initially. You have lived in Lahore as well. You are basically a Punjabi. So, do you think that this is actually the worst flood that we are
I
witnessing, or is it actually because of the encroachment and because that the population and all that, grabbing the land of Ravi or the land of Satluj, or for that matter land of Chenab. That is why we are seeing this much impact.
Those are definitely the contributing factors, but as far as the water flow is concerned, in terms of how many millions of acres feet or cusics of water is passing through various barrages at this point in time, wherever we have, we measure it at different instances. I've not seen it firsthand. I have not been to flood affected areas this year. I usually go there when I'm involved with certain community based projects. This year I was not. So I have not seen it firsthand. So if you're asking for my observational inference or my observational verdict, I can't give you that.
Fine.
I'm not too sure.
Fine.
But I can tell you that all of the factors that you have mentioned are the contributing factors.
Okay.
Flood itself might not be that damaging if you allow that flood to pass through, and you have not encroached the waterways which are supposed to be where Ravi should be. Right in the middle of Lahore that we have seen, and that has been highlighted a lot. Unfortunately, some of the social media celebrities have actually hijacked the whole narrative, and people are not really looking at what Ravi has done, but what a clinical psychologist or her house is doing. Actually, that's
Yes.
very strange. I don't understand where the whole discussion is going right now. People are more interested in something which is nothing to do with the plight of the people. But you have seen that.
I mean, we are talking about 2 million people.
Yes.
And we have just, figured our memes through one such.
Yeah.
And
We are
we're talking
more
about
we are
2
more
million
concerned.
people.
We are more that gives you views.
Yeah.
The plight does not give you views. That is all the game. The game. So, talking about how the flood passed through, we know from where a river flows. We know the natural path of a river,
Okay.
whether there is water in that river or not.
Okay.
You cannot allow any kind of construction, maybe 1 kilometer on that side and 1 kilometer on that side. And even if you allow that, you have to have embankments that would protect if the water swells in a given point in time. I have seen those embankments in around Ravi, where the Ruda project, the so-called,
Yes.
the infamous Ruda project is taking place, which after studying it, I don't think is such a bad idea, to be honest. If you are in a position to control whatever water is there in normal days, the average water flow, and if you can have water treatment plants, if you can convert a sewage dump into maybe a beautiful canal, if you can have societies around it, I don't mind. There are rivers go through cities right now. You go to Paris, Seine is right in the middle of Paris. You go through Budapest, the river is right where Buddha is on that side, Post is so you go to major cities in the world, river is in the middle of a city. So it's not that river is not harmful. If you allow a river to flow properly, and if you plan how you manage that river is not going to harm you.
Okay.
Not that Seine has flooded in the recent times. Rivers do flood, but they don't harm you as much as they harm you in Pakistan. Same is the case with earthquakes. The 2005 earthquake, the same magnitude of earthquake happened in Japan 6 months after. You know how many people died too? You know how many people died in Pakistan? The number is, we probably never know the right number,
Exactly.
but it's hundreds of thousands of
Hundreds
people.
of thousands.
So two compared to hundreds of thousands, and in a place which is seismically more vulnerable, Japan, but they know what to do with earthquakes, how to manage it. They construct their buildings accordingly. There's a proper plan on how to make their bridges. The bridges actually expand and contract when there is an earthquake. They had one tsunami, and now they have actually, I don't know when the next tsunami of that magnitude would come, but they have actually prepared themselves for that. So you have to be proactive. Our problem is that we are reactive. Something happens, then we find out what to do about it.
So Ashir sir, you talk about Japan or other countries that are proactive. What I see is that we have so many people. I mean, we have so many people.
The population you are talking about.
Do you
Yes.
think it is realistically possible that we keep a check on each and every individual or a village? I mean, besides.
I don't. No, let me tell you. This is something that's very interesting. uh, uh, part of discussion, which, and I'll twist it a little further and tweak it a little further, and to give you an idea. Yes, resources are scarce.
Yes.
You only have limited
True.
resources. You only have limited money. You are in 21st century, and you are actually right now, regardless of whatever our media hype is, regardless of our stature in the community of the stature in the global community, we still go to IMF for $1 billion,
We do.
which is nothing actually. In the
True.
global context, $1 billion is actually peanuts, is nothing. But a country of the magnitude of Pakistan has to go IMF, and they're very happy then when they give you a tranche of $1 billion. It's like Eid in Pakistan. So that is the kind of money you have. Now you need to understand that you have this much money. What is that you can do with that? Now the people who are advocating the mega dams, a mega dam is going to cost you $16 billion. How would you allocate $16 billion to one dam, whereas you can do wonders with half of that money if you are able to look at the water resources across Pakistan and do something about it.
Okay.
You can do a lot of things. You can make a lot of small dams. You can clear your waterways. You can create an alternate canal systems. Actually, with that kind of money, you can create a lot of check dams. You can create wetlands. You can recharge your aquifers. You can have rain harvesting. You can have sponge cities like China does. You can have underground channels like Japan did. You can have something like on the lines of what Netherlands has done with their river system to control floods. So there's so much that you can do, but you want to throw all that money into a mega dam because that is something which sells to you know maybe
Businessmen.
I call it a mafia. This is mega dams was a technology, or let me call it technology, or was an idea, or in the late 50s and the 60s. This has been 75 years. We did not have solar then. Nuclear energy was in its infancy. We did not have wind systems there. We did not have other resources at then. We were not left with a lot of options actually. And hydropower is probably the cheapest power. But the things that you need to understand. When you create mega dams, there is no doubt that they are power generating units, but they are not flood controlling vessels. Everybody needs to understand it. Actually, they magnify the larger floods. That is what happens in Ravi this time or Satluj this time. There are a lot of dams in India, and when they were full to the capacity, they have to release that water one day, and once you release it, it is pretty much out of control. That is one thing. There are many other cultural phenomena. There's a big phenomenon nobody talks about, is the marine life or the river life. So you kill a number of species when you create large dams. You understand, salmons actually travel upstream. If you create a dam in between, salmon's population would dwindle because there's no way they can
Possibly.
they can actually. Now the dams that in US, the dams they're making, they are actually creating a separate stream on the side of the dam from where the salmons or fish like that who go upstream to lay their eggs can travel. You think in Pakistan anybody can even
Yes.
think about it? No, they don't. They don't. The other thing is, now let's just do simple math. We say hydropower is cheap. Fair enough. Running cost is much cheaper. I don't know if you compare it with solar. It's probably not. Solar is
That
even cheaper
even
actually.
cheaper.
So, but solar has its issues. Of course, solar is out of 24 hours you can have only 8 hours of solar energy, and then now. So I understand that hydro runs. I see all the benefits. I'm not an anti-dam person. I'm not a
Yeah, that's the
pro-dam
point.
person. I'm just looking at pros and cons in the context of Pakistan. I'll give you the figures afterwards. The figures that I have studied. Once, of course, I have not invented those figures. These are figures for anybody to go and check and do a simple Google search, or like ask ChatGPT for all I care. $16 billion supposedly, or $20 billion, the overall externalities, you make $20 billion. Even if the dam life, you estimate the dam actual life to be, with all these siltation and everything, 50 years, your depreciation per year would be around $400 million or $500 million. That would be added to the cost. That I can tell you. I mean, if I'm not a water resource expert, I still have a few degrees in finance. So $500 million per year in depreciation, that is to be added to every year cost. Added to the cost of the production of 1 unit of electricity, and you find out where your cost goes to. It would be, you know,
So what does it take to understand this?
I don't know. I don't know. It is simple mathematics. It is simple mathematics. So create something which does not take away that much money today, because money has a cost actually.
And even water experts, the actual water experts, are proposing the same thing. I mean, they are, nobody is like,
For example, I give you example. I give you the total water flow in Pakistan is around, I think, 170, 180 mega million
you can have your water, I
million
guess.
oh, thank you, million
Yeah.
acre feet.
Yeah.
For example, I don't know, the people who have traveled globally, they have seen rivers. I have seen rivers. Rivers are trade routes in the world. The ships that flow through river. Have you seen our rivers? You know, you can't.
Now they're like ships are everywhere,
No,
boats
but
are everywhere. Yeah.
in normal days,
Yeah, that's
even in Indus or even in Jhelum, you can't have a boat,
true.
and the oars that you use, those are not meant to actually push water back. They actually use it to they push the boat forward by placing those on the river bed actually, because river bed is like this,
This,
so
that's it.
most of the places Koti downstream, there's nothing, there's no water actually. So most of your rivers are pretty dry water rivers. There's not that much of a water flow. Indus is a big river.
It is.
Indus is a big river in terms of its length, but what is the total annual water flow? It is not as much as it is in Mississippi River or Orange River or Colorado River or other rivers. I've seen those rivers and I've seen my rivers. This is something which is simple.
That's
Simple
it.
observation can tell you. I went to South Korea and I was, yes, South Korea probably, and the train is going through, and this is about, I don't know, it was 4 kilometers of uh, uh, a bridge, a train bridge, which was actually going over a river, and there's so much water. I have not seen that much water in my life. It was long time back. So I didn't realize it was. I thought we were going through sea actually, but it was river. So this is something of a common phenomena. Not that all rivers are that big, but you need to understand what is the length of a river, how much water flows into the river, what is the basin is, what is the delta is, how much water is there. 20 million acre feet. That is Jhelum's annual water flow. Now I'll give you two contrasting views. Uh, I am not privy to the study itself, so I'm not quoting it as a fact, but this is what somebody claims. Somebody sitting on a TV says there are regular aquifers, Dr. Hassan Abbas,
Yeah, he
2 days
says.
back, and he said
Yes.
there are 500 million acre
He
feet
says
of
that.
water inside. 500 million acre feet is lot.
Exact.
Okay, fine.
Far. He's
Then
claiming
then
that's
then
far more than a
there's a
dam.
friend of ours who actually contested it on social media. He said if you withdraw 50 million acre feet every year, it will be depleted in 10 years. Now there are two things that I don't understand. When you actually are extracting water, a riverine aquifer actually naturally recharge every year in any case.
Yes.
The other thing is, if you contest it, 50 million acre feet means the total water flow of Jhelum for 2.5 years. Why do you need that much water?
That's it.
Will we use Jhelum's total water flow for 2.5 years every year? And why do we
Think so.
withdraw it from one river aquifer? So when you, I don't know if that 500 million acre feet is correct. I don't know if that 50 million acre feet withdrawal every year is correct. But when I compare these two claims, there is something missing somewhere. You are not contesting it properly.
Yes.
So why not? If I need to look at cost benefit analysis. Pakistan does not have the money
That's the
to
point.
build mega dams.
Exactly.
You can lobby all for mega dams. From where the money would come? And if the money would come from World Bank, the money would come from ADB. They were not going to give you grants. They are probably giving you not soft loans. They are giving you hard loans. Who's going to pay back? My kids are going to pay that back. So I want to invest in projects where cost benefit analysis makes sense at the moment. If you can build a mega dam and if you have the money, go ahead, be my guest. Build 10 mega dams if you can. You don't have the money. You don't. China has built three gorges dam. Can you build a three
But
gorges dam? You
Hashir,
don't have that
even
much
if we
money.
have the money and if we build the dam
My
in the
question,
long run,
my question 10 years ago, how will you fill that dam?
that's
Every year, if you are wasting that much water, if I buy that
yes.
argument for a
Yeah, I
for
mean,
a moment, let's
you
buy
can
that.
answer that.
Let's
Do we waste it when it goes to the
no, no,
Arabians?
let's say we waste it. Okay? Because there's this activist, we waste billions of dollars of water every year. Are you? It is a requirement, a minimum requirement. I think it's once again. I think it is 10 million acre feet every
Yes,
year
every
that has to go to the sea. Why? Because that's how delta thrives. If you kill your deltas, you kill everything around it, and you have killed everything around it. Kotri downstream. That is one thing.
yeah.
But supposedly, let's buy this argument, okay, that we have lot of excess water every year. If you have a lot of excess water every year, this happens every year. Our dams are at dead level.
It happens.
Then floods come, dams are filled, and then we have to release it,
We have
and
two
it magnifies again.
yeah,
So,
two extremes.
so I don't understand. If you have that much water, your dams should be. You have only two big dams. Maybe Chashma pe you had some capacity. Those should be full all year long. And say, oh, our water is going down the river into the sea. We should have a dam. Your existing dams are at dead. Your Raval dam is at dead level every year.
Yeah.
So you have to wait
5
for
months back, I mean,
your
Lakeview is almost
yeah. And then you imagine, that's then there's the counter argument. Now let me put the counter argument. They say when the floods come, you restore that water, and when floods dissipate, you release that water slowly. This is not how dams work. Dams are not supposed to control floods. If dams start controlling floods, dams probably would burst.
I mean,
Dams are not supposed to do
why
that.
the controlled breaches recently happened at
In floods, how much silt comes in, how much debris comes in. You don't want to stop it. You let it pass. Otherwise, your dam would be at a critical risk. You don't do that. Dams are not big sponges. They are not. Tarbela, half of it we have already lost half of Tarbela to siltation. What is that we have done to desilt it? But we want to build another dam. You clear silt out of Tarbela if you can, if there's a technology available. Once again, that is pretty much equivalent to creating a big mega dam.
And Hashir Sahab, even if
half of Mangla is gone, half of Tarbela is already gone.
Even if we have a dam at Indus, how is it going to help Punjab?
Not Punjab really. The argument is that after there's somebody was giving that after Panjnad it will reduce the intensity of the flood.
So I mean,
people are making people are making Kalabagh Dam. Right now, people are actually advocating Kalabagh Dam so that we can control floods in Ravi, Chenab, and Sutlej. I don't understand the psyche actually.
Punjabi nationalism is at a high this time around. In fact, if there is a Kalabagh Dam with this argument, it will help Sindh. But the Sindhis are against it. Is it the fact that they understand this phenomena better than majority of the
but if there are arguments and there are counter arguments. Once again, if you make Kalabagh, which is right at where it's the lower end of
the Korang and this.
So if you create that is something which is part of the lake actually is going to the canals are going to benefit Punjab and Punjab agricultural. If you can create that kind of a lake system from Kalabagh, I really don't want to debate Kalabagh. Kalabagh Dam is pretty much a dead horse. Let's talk about, because it's not going to be made.
Yeah.
We can debate all we want. It's not going to be made. If you want to remain a federation, it's not going to be made. Because 3 of the 4 provinces have actually declared that they're not going to support it. So it's okay. You can debate all you want, but it's a futile debate. Even if I am somebody who is in favor of Kalabagh Dam, I won't make it at the cost of federation.
True.
So I won't. And if you want, go to all the assemblies and convince the lawmakers. You don't have to convince me on social media with if Kalabagh Dam is to be made or not. You have to go to the assemblies, lobby in the assemblies, and maybe tomorrow send the assembly, and day after Balochistan and day after uh,
Send then KP.
Sindh and KP, and maybe part of Punjab Assembly actually.
Yes.
They say, okay, fine, we are in favor. Go ahead, and please do tell me from where the money would come. And but Kalabag Dam is a dead horse. Let's talk about the other mega dam projects that are not only where there is no conflict at the moment. You can create. You are working on a couple of those maybe right now. You might have a third in the pipeline. Let's talk about those. But you need to understand, what will they serve? Uh, will they be beneficial? Yes, of course.
To what extent?
Everything that you make a water reservoir, they will create power. Of course, there's no doubt about it. There might be a canal system. Fair enough. That is, of course, going to benefit some kind of agriculture. Would These are the benefits, but then there are a lot of negatives as well. There are pros when there are cons as well. The cons is, first of the con is from where the money would come. The second is from where the water would come to fill those dams. If there are no floods, you won't be able to fill your Trabela and Mangla. Trust me on that.
So,
On an average, if you are able to control floods, if there are no floods, if glacial outbursts are gone, if cloud bursts are gone.
Ashish, sir, that is a very interesting
Yeah.
point. Now, from this, people assume that climate change means rain, rain, and rain.
Not necessarily. It could.
That's why this argument
Yeah.
that we are going to have rains,
We,
rains,
we
and
might
rains.
have a 10-year drought cycle.
I mean, there is a prediction that in 2026 it's going to be even worst. The monsoon is going to be far stronger than what we have witnessed right now.
Yeah.
And I think this is the basis on which they're claiming that we are going to have a lot of water every year in monsoon. So let's do that.
Okay, let me tell you something. All the climate change experts in the world are at a fix right now because they have no clue what's going to happen. They know climate is changing. They know the earth is, or the nature is fighting back. How would it fight back? They don't know. Whether it would be floods, whether it would be an ice age, whether it would be a drought, something's going to happen because earth resets itself every, maybe 10,000 years. I don't know when is the last that it happened, but this is the time for a reset now. How would that reset happen? Nobody knows. So if you are basing your ideas on that we are going to have constant rains for the next 10 years, this might not happen. We have seen in the last few years, there are years when there was no flood. Actually, there was pretty much a drought actually. And then there are floods, and then there's a drought, and then there are 2 years of drought, then the 3 years of floods. So you don't know what's going to happen. Nobody predicted this kind of rain this year. Nobody did. We are at the moment, our meteorological equipments are pretty advanced actually, but we didn't understand what's going to happen. Nobody predicted Katrina just a few days before, and not a year ago, that these kind of tornadoes, these kind of hurricanes would come down your way. Nobody was aware a tsunami was going to happen. Nobody was aware. There's no, of course, as far as the earthquake is concerned, we still have no technology to predict those. There's a lot that is happening around us, and we are at Pakistan. I think there are 3 fault lines that go through Pakistan. There's a lot that is happening. So we need to look at what is that we can do with the resources that we have. First of all, why aren't there's emergency, or why aren't we very concerned about reforestation? Why aren't we immediately concerned and ultra cautious about rain harvesting? Why aren't we concerned about aquifer recharging? You create 10 mega
What
dams.
about Udan
You create
project?
you create 10 mega dams. You create 10 mega dams. Would it solve Lahore's water problem?
It won't.
It would do nothing to Lahore water, because Lahore water comes from the aquifer. You have to recharge that aquifer. How would you do that? And it is not a high cost solution. So your big cities are the one which are affecting, and your agriculture. So you have to see how to balance those. I don't think Kalabag is an answer, or a mega dam is an answer. And this is what my opinion is. And my opinion
Yeah,
could
you
be,
have been
could be
advocating
very
short,
flawed.
I mean, small
I
dams.
say small dams, yes. I say a shift that we are already seeing. It is moving to solar a lot, which I think if you actually conduct an analysis, I have not done that yet, but it will probably cost you less than any other alternate source of energy right now, because technology is becoming cheaper and cheaper every day. And there is a reason, because everybody is putting up solars on their roofs. There is a reason behind it. We have to move away from fossil fuels as well. Of course, there's no doubt about it. We are most, even now, we advocate so much about hydropower. Even now, as of today, the global hydropower contribution to the total energy is less than 15%. Globally.
Yes.
That includes Europe, and that includes US, and that includes three gorgeous dams, China, and that includes everything. Still only 15%. 85% come from other sources. And those are the sources that they are developing more and more and more and more and more. So energy, yes, energy. But as far as these are two contrasting things. Are we looking at an energy crisis, or are we looking at a flood crisis?
Flood crisis.
We are not looking at energy crisis.
Exactly.
Trust me on that. We are producing. We have more capacity right now than the demand is. Our problem is the national grid cannot absorb that much energy. So that's why a lot of our plants, IPPs, remain idle, and we still pay them the capacity. So there's no energy crisis as such. If your national grid distribution is proper and we invest not $16 billion, maybe
But the flood
maybe
crisis is there,
$500 million,
right?
so our energy problems would be pretty much sorted out for the next 10 years. Floods won't be. And a mega dam would take you another 15 years to be completed and to be
Exactly.
functional, and then it would shut down 3 days down the line. Our run of the river projects, the Nilam Jilam, it shut down every few days, actually.
Exactly.
That we have been making for so many years. So this is the quality of our engineering. Unfortunately, our engineers are the one who are advocating the big dams. They can't create one run of the river dam properly.
Do you think they did a good job with the control breaches at Kadirabad and all recently?
Once again, I have not been there. I have not seen it face to face. I can only rely on the news. But I think if I compare it to the catastrophe that might have was anticipated, uh, I don't think it's a bad job. But this is not a job of the engineers who have done that. This is a job of disaster management people. Disaster management is altogether a different thing. Making a barrage or creating a structure is altogether a different thing. Once again, our disaster management authorities, I don't know where they are, what they do, where their funds go, how do they manage people, what is their policy, is it ever been shared with masses like me? Do we understand how the provincial disaster management authorities and the federal disaster management authorities collaborate and coordinate? I don't know.
One last question. We are running out of time, Ashir Saab. I mean, somebody who is thought to be a very learned, guy in Pakistan, in the, government sectors, or the official verdict. He claimed that if the water from India would have been sent in this way or that way, it would have been, we could have avoided this calamity or catastrophe. Do you think that a dam manual uh, could be changed just for politics?
I don't understand the assertion, to be honest. If it is something that is dependent on what India does or does not, that is something that uh, we did not control before, and we no longer control it anyways now. The kind of strained relationship, so we cannot be dependent on what India does or what India does not. That is something which is a stupid strategy to start with. What India would do or what China would do, we have to look at
Reactive again.
what
You
we have to
mentioned
look at what we can
proactivity.
do. Let's assume the worst from India. Let's assume the worst from
Plan
India. Let's
accordingly.
assume. I don't think that whatever happened this time, it is intentional, or India has actually intentionally drowned Pakistan. Because there's a lot of damage in their part of Punjab, probably more than what we have seen. So when their dams are full to the capacity, they have to release water. There's no other way
There's not
actually.
a way.
And there's a problem. We are only ready for medium floods. We are not ready for large floods. That is the problem. So when the large floods, because the big dams, because of you having dams, the water is not flowing properly in Jhelum and in Indus. So in Jhelum and Indus basins, we are not even ready for medium floods, because there's small capacity. The annual flow is not great. You store a lot of that. So you see what happens. What happened to the waterways, and when there's a large flood, you don't know how to deal with it. So you have to deal with flood. Flood is our emergency basically, and that is not something that we can wait for another 20 years for a dam to be built and control it. We have to do it by the time our next floods arrive. What can you can do in the next 1 year? Let me know of those ideas and those strategies.
Thank you so very much, Hashir Saab. It was such an enlightening discussion. as Hashir Saab said, that he's not a water expert, neither am I. And what's the purpose of such discussions and debates? We just want to present an alternate picture. At least we need these discussions to take place, because this is the least we can do. We cannot do much for the flood victims in our capacity. What we can do is that we can try to bring some sort of sense, try to discuss, and try to explore different options. Ashir Saab, thank you so very much. It
My
was
pleasure.
always a pleasure having you here. Thank you
Same
so
here.
very
Thank you.
much. Khuda Hafiz.